Welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Johnny.
I'm a fool.
And today we have a guest, our first guest.
Uh-oh. Who is it, Johnny?
Guys, I want you to sit down, stand up, open up your butts and your hearts to the new member of the Backwoods Sports family, Coach Chris.
Coach Chris.
Coach Chris.
Hey, you gentlemen.
Woo!
Good to meet everybody.
Woo! Coach Chris, how you doing? Introduce yourself to the people.
All right. My name is Christopher Lee. I've coached high school football in Northeast Florida. So if you're familiar with like the Orange Park area, Ridgeview High School.
Shout out.
Then at Middleburg High School.
Shout out.
Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Woo!
And then recently at Palatka High School.
Oh, I went to Florida School of the Arts in Palatka.
Okay.
So I was like right down the road.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's cool. Or is that where you're going to be at this year? Or
This coming year, yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
seems like it, yeah.
So
Seems
what's
like
your
you'll be at Palatka.
goals? Do you have any goals set?
In what regard?
Football
For football?
or sports in general? I don't know.
If I got back into coaching high school football, it more likely it'd have to come a little bit closer to home because the family and I still live in Middleburg.
Represent.
We own a house there, so it'd
heck
have to be something local.
Oh shit!
What'd you do?
I
Didn't hit record again.
Probably.
no. I don't know what in the world. I don't know what the whole H thing is. Never mind. Okay, no, we're good. I accidentally hid your audio and I thought it deleted.
Oh,
I was just trying to.
Way to
make
go, Johnny.
I was just trying to adjust it.
low budget podcasting. Gotta love it, guys. Hey, we love it every time we're able to get in here and record. We realize how low budget we are.
Oh yeah.
But it's okay.
But guys,
It's
I think
Backwoods. What do you expect?
That's right.
I think we need to
I mean, this is all cardboard.
I think we need a moment of silence in honor of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the death upon them that is imminent due to
Agreed.
the past seasons and the seasons now. I'm actually convinced myself that 2017 was a fever dream, and we all just hallucinated it all.
Pre-pandemic, yeah.
Everybody took some magic mushrooms that year.
And it was, and it hooked on. Nobody came down.
But
from
I will
it.
say this about that season, though. Miles Jack was not down.
Hashtag Miles Jack was not
he
down.
was not down.
He was
down.
not down,
He
will
wasn't down.
not be down ever.
Bill, if you're listening to this, I hope you're listening.
So, I mean, I don't think I referenced it, but I wanted to, I thought we made enough jabs about the London, but I was on the page with the memoriam thing of saying that they were going to play every team over in London before they got a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
It's looking
I mean-
like
Now,
that.
you know what? Let's
Let's just jump right into
just
them. What are we going
just
to talk
jump right
about?
into it. Whoosh.
Mm.
And that's when I'm going to cut to the in memoriam.
Okay.
And
Yeah, right.
we're back. That was beautiful.
Yeah, some nice words from
I
everybody.
couldn't stop crying when I saw that.
Yeah.
Just the
There was emotion. It's high and low and everything
passion
in between.
in those words.
Truth hurts. That's all I got to say. And you know what? They were right. Who knew? They say words can't break bones, but you know what? Those were some stones.
Those were rock solid, weren't they? Anyway, so
6 feet of earth on top.
Austin, what's our first topic?
Well, I thought we were going to get into some draft reviews this week since we got Coach Chris.
Coach Chris in the house.
Coach
He had
Chris is all about football.
some analytics.
So we got Coach Chris in here for a draft review, and
He's
we're going to
kind of
go
the
through.
brains of the operation.
He is.
He's going to be the brains of the operation.
And
here.
so we're basically telling him we're doing draft review. Here's the guys we took. Let us know what you got on.
He's our insight knowledge.
And so without further ado, let's get into it and start off with the first round pick.
Now, can I say something real quick that's a little
Yeah.
controversial?
Please do.
First round picks are stupid and myths. What I mean by that is every single time there's a first round pick, it's the very first pick of the draft. Everyone freaks out. Oh, but this team got the first pick. It could be their grandma. They can pick literally anybody on the face of the earth, and they could be dog shit, and it's still people will be like, oh, like
Johnny Manziel.
It makes no sense of why first round picks have so much value to them. It's literally, what do we need as a team? Okay, that's the best player that we can predict that might end up being a bust anyway.
Well, I think I think one thing is you have to remember that this is an industry now. Like the whole draft, watch and all that. That's an industry. There are so many websites out there that follow, track, guys from even their high school days now,
right?
Because everything's on the internet. They track these guys. And then by their second year, if they've shown a sign of some sort of game-changing ability, now it's time to start pushing this guy probably a year or two even before they enter the draft. Mm-hmm. But they are driving their next product. You have to kind of see it as an industry, and these prospects are, for a small window, a year or two, they are very much their product they're going to push to get clicks, to get likes, shares, views, whatever. And so you have to kind of see the whole the draft thing as a industry in its own, outside of the actual fact that they're going to an entertainment industry, football.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
NFL football.
And that's another thing. It's all about entertainment now.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
It's literally the only way. Like you were saying earlier, how just the only way to recruit people is just to make them do the cool media stuff.
Well, that's a different conversation for a different podcast. NIL. Yeah. I mean, we can convene at a later date about the NIL because that thing is
crazy.
That
needs to be broken down because it's just so
kids
broad.
Kids are starting to get paid money.
A dude just got a Lambo contract with one on an NIL deal from what I saw.
I haven't looked into it, but there was a young man that received his total compensation before he leaves college will be more than a 6th, 7th round pick.
Dang.
So it's like you're incentivizing young men to stay in college longer, which is good for college ball. However, at what cost?
Yeah, agreed.
Here's the cost. Half their asses aren't going to go into the NFL because they already got the money. The money chasers I don't think are going to try as hard. I think they're already going to have millions of dollars in college and they're just going to party and waste it.
No, because the NFL will still have the allure,
That's
attention.
what I would do. I'd blow it all and just be like, fuck it.
Well, if these young men see themselves as a like we were talking about Thibodeau earlier, as a brand and a product into themselves that they could market, then the NFL is already the ready-made next step. Mm-hmm. And there's no step after the NFL.
Retirement.
It's retirement. Yep. Hall of Fame.
That's
maybe
it.
that's about it.
Maybe a high school. Maybe coaching at a high school somewhere.
That's what they do in the meantime. Yes, that's the natural progression
Aflac,
that you would hope.
State Farm.
That's
where they go. That's where all the retirees go to live on a happy farm. Is in insurance commercials. Aaron Rodgers, he's making his way on that happy farm that my mom always tells me all the retirees go.
He's still trying to jump in on that Jeopardy.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah,
I love that Jeopardy one.
It's high entertainment. Aaron Rodgers.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Rest
Let's
in
pick
peace,
3 or
Trebek.
4 draft picks to start. Let's talk about them.
Well, shoot. Let's talk about our number 1 pick first, though, and Trayvon Walker. And Chris, you said you had some strengths and weaknesses for most of these guys.
Yes.
So tell us about Trayvon Walker and if that was a good pick or not.
What up, Trayvon?
Okay, before we get into some of that, we've discussed how we're gonna format this thing, and so we kind of went through. I had some ideas, and Johnny had some ideas.
About 6.
That was Backwoods.
I give it a 6.
No, that was my draft offer.
Oh, I told you I was going to start rating every bird.
You're gonna what? Whoa!
Freudian slip.
Austin.
Freudian slip.
I said rating.
Who are you?
I said I was going to rate.
Nice. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to talk with HR about your internship.
Well, I'm talking to HR right now, so let's bring it to the
table. Which table? This one or that one over there?
No kid. Or the one we just put outside.
We're going to have to put you on 2 weeks suspended leave.
Is it paid?
I got the Trevor Bauer treatment.
No pay.
I got the Trevor Bauer treatment over
here.
How
many
games
get paid
anyway? He doesn't get paid.
All right. So Trayvon Walker, let's jump into him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went with a simple format: strengths, 1 strength, 1 weakness, and then a bust percentage. A bust,
Ooh, okay.
what is the likelihood? What is the likelihood of this player to boom or bust?
High. I mean, wait.
All right.
No, that was both. Honestly, I think the bust rate is so much more likely than anything else.
For sure. I mean, but where does that come from? Where does this bust? Where does that come from?
Yeah, organization just staying with the starter just because he's been the starter ever since they drafted and I've said the same thing about other teams that draft, and like y'all were talking, drafting guys high up and how it seems almost as like a publicity stunt in a way because
for some of them, some people that don't.
Well, I mean, some of those guys, yes, they get taken first, but then like at the same time, like okay, let's say Trayvon Walker has a Dante Fowler and gets injured in training camp. Like now your first round pick is
Trayvon
gone.
Walker's built different.
No, I mean, hey, I'm just saying, like, I mean, anything can happen.
Don't you think we should have went for an offensive lineman?
Well, I'll get into that later.
Like, I barely know shit about fucking. I even think that we should have went for an offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, if we want to, pause on that for a sec, going into this draft, I totally, believe that the Jaguars should have spent a few more picks. They started with 12, right? They had basically the entire 6th round.
A dime a dozen.
And they had 12 picks, which is a lot of picks going into any draft.
First round, let alone.
No, the first round they only had the one.
No,
you're right.
They only had
they
had the 1, the 2, the 3.
Hey, I'll ask the questions.
And then it got like video game style, but that's because Trent Baalke was trading away good players like Schobert and all those guys for 6th round picks. Everybody was I guess in the 6th round pick trade in market the last year or so. And Baalke took advantage of that, and he made some good moves. We'll talk about that later with some of those later picks. But initially, I did feel I came up with a rating system of low would be like a 1 and 0 of low importance, 10 being high importance, and so there's your range. Okay. And so for O-line, I actually had an 8 to 9, and I say that for not just
O-line.
For offensive line, yes.
Like your 5 offentive line.
Yes.
Oh,
it's a high priority. No, it's a high priority we need to fix.
And I even put this in mind that if they did happen to draft, but if they did happen to re-sign Cam to an extension of some sort, that this would still have to be the plan.
Oh yeah,
would draft for talent and raising the floor of the talent on the offensive line. It's not about just drafting depth, just to draft depth, but raising the floor of the talent that you currently have.
You can't. The floor is the gravity.
In a metaphorical sense.
My gravity.
But seeing, I kind of said the same thing, and why they would need.
I'm gonna be honest. I blacked out halfway through that.
I kind of was saying the same thing.
I'm trying to keep up right now.
I was basically saying the same thing to Johnny pretty much all year about depth and how when you go after these offensive line, the best way to, as crazy as it sounds, that's a position. Best way to get the best out of the guys, put them in.
Yeah,
and especially if you have the space to put him in, like look at Cam Robinson. They drafted Cam Robinson. He started that fall, and they had that spot to put him in there. He did fairly well. Now, but like you look at last year when you take a guy like Lawrence, and then they didn't have the backfield threat of Etienne, which I felt like, hey, that season could have been a lot different had Etienne probably played, but. I felt like
what's the plus? Is he a player that is a +2 or 3 wins or a +1 win guy?
I think.
Alvin Kamara. Think about Alvin Kamara. How many games?
That's a touchy subject for this guy.
You potentially win.
You don't want to bring up Kamara around this guy. Very touchy subject. Yeah.
Drafted him first round.
He drafted him for the first round, and then
traded him after the draft.
Traded it to him. And then realized it was a point per pass league.
Yeah.
And he totally regretted it. It's still won 8. He had a 6-8 record, and he won the championship.
Yeah. But
that's not nothing.
No, I guess with like Etienne, it's kind of hard to say because he just only played college ball and he had that injury that just happened in like a Dante Fowler happened preseason. but I felt like it would have opened up a little bit of an RPO and maybe gave Trevor that outlet to like basically what Dallas did when Dak came in. They gave him the outlet of Witten, and they gave him a running back.
Trevor doesn't need an outlet. He needs an outhouse.
Well, he need.
What were you going to say, Coach Chris?
They do have an outhouse. It's
TIAA Bank. TIAA Bank Field.
It's a really big bowl.
That's wherever Trent Baalke is.
Yeah, that too.
I kid. I think Baalke is trying to make it work. I
don't.
I do believe that
Last year was his first year.
I do believe that Khan's approach this year being more hands-on and the collaboration that we hear about, they use that word a lot.
I love that word.
Okay, that came from the highest of the totem pole. That was Shad's. We're going to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make this work, we're going to be making different decisions.
Right.
Right. I have been seeing his face more.
Oh yeah, he's owned the franchise for almost 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
Who was the last owner?
It was the Weavers. Mike and Dolores Weaver.
Weavers.
Yeah. But
Classic.
But the thing with the Weavers is they were able to bring an NFL franchise to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just because there
like
wasn't
the pioneers.
Yes, and they did so much for the community.
Yep.
All right. So you can't overlook the entry of an NFL franchise and what they've meant to this community for a long time. And everybody wants to have a winner, but guess what? The Oakland Raiders didn't win a whole lot for great stretches post John Madden. Rest in peace, John Madden.
R.I.P.
And so, they had the Gruden years, but then they went right back into the doldrums of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't still economic value and value to the community. The Raider fans were absolutely gonna tear apart Oakland when the news broke that the Raiders.
Oh yeah, they wanted to tear it down.
So there is. I think the Jaguars have been here long enough to where there's been a connection with the fan base and the organization. What Shad Khan did was bring billionaire status to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And that's it.
Well, no, he brought...
Death to Shad. Fuck Shad Khan.
No.
Hit the memoriam.
None of that clown show stuff.
I like Sean Khan. I mean, but like, I think my thing with the Jaguars too is like the history of losing and everything entails with their head coach option. They've always been a steady defensive head coach. Like a defensive guy has to be our head coach. A defensive
Peterson
guy has to be our head coach. Well, and that's what I'm getting at. Really, like in my opinion, you look at the last defensive coach to like do good here, and I mean it was okay, but I think Del Rio. But
what year was that?
What he was?
It was always 1 year.
No, he was here for like 8 seasons or something.
8
Del
seasons?
Rio? That's going a little far back. He was here, I think, for 4 or 5.
Okay. I thought he was here for like 8. But see, I liked him, but like I felt like ever since they've just trying to find a head coach guy to just plug in, like, hey, make your magic, make your magic, make your magic.
Longer than that.
Make your magic work. And now they got a guy in here that is offense mindset already. And to me, that shows that they want to win more because they're saying like, oh, it's our offense that needs to score more points because our defense, like, they've had a good defense.
Ooh, you're right. 03 to 11.
Yeah. Told you. Wait, you were right.
What? I said about 8 years? Yeah.
About 8 years, yeah.
So, I mean, like, I felt like he was probably because after Christ, I can't remember the head coaches after him.
Goodness.
Well, there was Malarkey.
Yep.
Well,
Malarkey?
when Del Rio got let go, I believe Mel Tucker was the interim head coach.
Because he was defensive coordinator at the time or something.
He was the defensive coordinator who he just signed a monster contract with Michigan State.
He's good, man.
Mel, great coach, great human being. The Jaguars then went on after let's see. I think they went to Malarkey, and then it was Doug.
Marone?
What
Was it Marone? Doug Marone?
Doug Marone. I'm trying. For some reason, I want to say there was somebody after.
That's what I thought
Del
too.
Rio.
See, that's because the ones that
Not
came
on
to
an
my
interim
mind were
base.
Bradley, Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley was there, but that was
Gus.
before Marone. So
the
it
Gus
was.
bus.
Yeah, I got a story about that.
Get on the Gus bus.
I once went to a clinic
Nice.
the Jaguars put on for area high school coaches.
They have a clinic. What was wrong?
It
What'd
was.
you
It was.
hurt?
It was a. It
Were
was
you
a,
okay? Was that?
Not that type of clinic.
This should have been for the Jaguars. But so Gus Bradley was there, and a bunch of the coaches were there, and they had little breakout sessions. It was good. It was really well done.
Right.
A lot of like handshaking, and so
I love shaking hands.
I asked Coach Bradley about the Leo position because that was all in the newspapers. You know, they just the Leo position, and they got.
Do you have to be a lion?
You know, and this was going into the draft where Dante Fowler would have been drafted. Okay, so this was like not even a month before the draft, and so I asked Gus Bradley, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm like, hey, give me, what's the backstory? And he starts talking about the history of it. You go from Okie front and all this stuff, and
Chokey. Here, hold the mic a little bit closer.
A little bit closer, all right. And so he goes through the history of it, and he even pulls out he goes gets an assistant, not an assistant coach, but like some staffer to go get him a whiteboard. He draws it up, in all the different various fronts. And before we both realize, almost all the coaches there are standing around the whiteboard, and now they're starting to throw questions at him, and we're discussing things. And the most interesting thing about that conversation was he referenced a game the year prior against the San Diego Chargers, which they had lost.
Losers.
And he had talked about how they were in cover 3 like 70% of the time. I was like, why? The offense isn't running the same. They're not running shot plays 70% of the time. They're not running pure vertical
routes,
push routes. They're working underneath, and you're just going to stay in the same coverage. That's sitting ducks. Your defensive players are sitting ducks. Your offensive coordinator is probably going,
what the hell?
I'm going to have to score 50 to stay in this thing because we're giving up everything underneath because we're staying in the same rigid coverage and we're not changing it up.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, as a coach, I wondered how often is that, in the NFL? We know for a fact, like if you just pop on the film, the Patriots don't do that a lot.
No.
They have specific coverages and checks that move their defensive players into the best possible position to defend formations and yeah. That old Belichick plays chess while the Gus Bradleys play checkers.
Hey, hey! I think we need to stop dogging on checkers. I love checkers.
And Gus Bradley's a good dude.
I love checkers.
He's a phenomenal dude.
I like to go up. I like to go up, jump everybody, king me, come back and do it again. That's what I enjoy.
Yes.
I'm definitely a checkers guy.
I like the chess. I like to go get that one king. But I do like my style of chess is take the opponent's pieces.
How obvious is it?
And then chase the king around.
Yeah. How obvious is it that I'm overcompensating for my lack of knowledge right now? With just like over the top shit.
It's okay. It's okay. We understand. We know what you bring to the table.
Yeah. Everybody's got a function and a.
I just do these things. I work with that. I work with these and all that.
Yeah, we know.
It reminds me to put my lips on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But So with that conversation, it was really eye opening that how many NFL teams, do this, and to what point? Well, so later in that day, they fed us lunch and everything again.
Congratulations!
It's right there. It was right there in the stadium and all that.
What was it?
They had the bar open, and then they had like Bonos.
Bartender
Johnny.
And
self-tended bar, or is it like a bar?
No, it was like operating like if
real
you had a
people?
game.
You
Yeah,
act like this was yesterday, Johnny.
man.
You act like
Yeah,
this was yesterday.
Years ago. It was long
Maybe
enough.
it was.
It was long enough ago to run off Dante Fowler.
Wait, what was,
Oh.
so the bar was open. Oh, so the
Speaking
bar
of
was open.
speaking of Dante Fowler,
Dante.
okay, the
Tell
bar
me about
wasn't
Dante.
important.
Okay.
So we're all
But
sitting
what
there.
was the food?
It was. I
This
think.
guy.
I'm
I think
so
it was
hungry.
Bono's. I think it was Bono's.
Bono's is good.
I'll take it. Next.
And so like we're all sitting there chatting or whatever. Other area guys who knew each other, go chat up with each other and everything. And so there's a little table hopping, we kind of moving around. And so I see Dave Caldwell, then Jags GM, walk by, and I
He was
go-
head coach after a while, right?
no, Jim
Caldwell was
Caldwell, he
only-
was the GM.
He was the general manager.
Oh.
And so I walked up to him. I, introduced myself to him, shook his hand, and he was very cordial. He was cool, and so
Well,
I
of
was
course,
like,
he's in PR mode.
Yeah.
they're always going to.
yeah,
be nice
probably
in
so.
PR mode.
Yeah, he was buttoned down. He seemed like he was just there, kind of buzzing through, seeing how this event was going. Reading the room, kind of thing.
Nice.
And so he, him and I, started, chatting. I was asking him questions about the draft, and so I asked him a rather specific question. That the GM, who is at that time, this is before, help me out. First Jags head coach, I just lost Coughlin.
Coughlin.
This is before Tom Coughlin was brought back and did the EV or whatever it was, EVP or whatever. Well, that's a conversation for much later.
I love acronyms.
And so with Caldwell, I was trying to get a little bit of draft information, like who do you like? I'm gonna put some names. I'm gonna read his body.
You're trying to leak some
Yes.
information.
Well, I mean,
right.
hey, that's good. If you're a fan of that team, like, shoot, you put me in the Steelers,
Yeah, but you
put
he
me in
would-
Heinz Field, and
Yeah,
I get the
but-
chance to see the general manager in the draft's like a month away or something. I'm gonna be like, hey, man, who we looking at? I don't care.
Yeah, but listen, he's not going to give you any real
Well,
answers. You
it's
could
like,
be anybody.
well, it's like, yeah, but here, it's
You
like you
could
said,
be-
it's like you
could say
said,
you're a
though.
fan, but
But
could
it's
be
like you
another team
said.
scout.
It's like you said, we already pretty much know who's going to the teams already in the first round.
Do you, though?
For the most part, due to mock, like the top 5 are pretty much already determined.
They put these boards together, and a lot of these GMs, a lot of these organizations stick to those boards. They would not like to go rogue because that means they have to draft a guy they don't have data on. They don't have family background. They don't have college statistics. They have to just Google things like a fan would.
Yep.
They don't have that scouting
Go on YouTube.
profile. They don't know what the film was because maybe they didn't send people to Oregon to look at Oregon, right? And they just looked at maybe South Cali kids, USC, UCLA, and they never went up to Oregon. But now the best player on everybody's board except for theirs, all the pundits are like Oregon running back, whoever is the highest rated, and they're like, does he have 2 good knees? Does he have a hidden shoulder issue that we don't know about? Does he have a torn labrum that is on the guys who scouted him and they talked to their medical?
Antonio Brown, unless anyone signs me, I ain't getting surgery.
Yeah. So I was talking with Caldwell, and I go, okay. So when you click on the film of Dante Fowler, okay, he was schemed open a lot. All right.
What does that mean?
Schemed open means he was a guy that couldn't just in college when he played for the Gators. He could not just whoop a guy one-on-one. Was he a genetic freak? Kinda. He was a well-built athlete, could run, could move. However, his head coach at the time was able, and he was the defense coordinator-ish, and it was who was the guy who used to blow up on the sidelines all the time for the Gators, and then
We had
he went to South Carolina after that.
Will Muschamp.
Muschamp.
Yeah,
Yes, thank
Muschamp.
you.
After Meyer. Yeah.
And so, no, actually, wasn't there another guy? What was McElwain? McElwain, was he after Muschamp or was he after Meyer?
Jim McElwain. Yeah, McElwain was after Muschamp because and then it was
It was Meyer.
Dan Mullen after McElwain.
They love all them M
last names.
M last names. So with
Meyer, Muschamp,
McElwain,
McElwain,
Mullins.
Yep. Mullins.
McGaffrey.
What's the dude? Didn't they just bring in a new head coach for?
They did.
I forget his name.
Minotaur.
No.
Nah.
Miller. So I asked him. I was like, so Dante Fowler, he's going to be the Jaguars pick at the 3rd overall, but he's a schemed open guy. So Muschamp had to scheme him open, meaning putting other defensive linemen, blitzing a backer, filling gaps that would get the offensive line to operate and to shift other ways. And guys, instead, when they see color, offensive linemen, when they're taught, when they see color flash, they have to go with it. Well, that opens up natural gaps for other athletes to run through. Mm-hmm. That's where you get your looping and your stunts and things like that. And
You're making me feel so dumb.
So Fowler was
my IQ,
schemed open a lot.
IQ is so much lower than
if I had a board, I'd draw it all, and then we'd be 7 hours later.
I'll explain it to you as we watch the games this season.
Okay, thanks.
And
yeah,
so,
my voice cracked.
And you go, well, what's the concern with that? Well, when you click on the tape of when he was just sent on an unusual pass rush, in like a 5-tech outside eye of the outside shoulder of the tackle, and just sent to go beat him one-on-one and go get the quarterback, make a play, be a 3rd overall pick type guy. That film wasn't there.
Right.
And so I had a big concern about that as a coach going, hey, this is a 3rd overall pick. Okay, why did, you could go in a bunch of other directions. And so when I was like, he's a schemed open guy, why pick a guy like that who hasn't shown on tape? He can't beat a guy one-on-one. And that's what the NFL game is our pass rushers, especially those edge guys. That's why edge is now a thing, that you beat that guy one-on-one and go get quarterback and then get paid millions of dollars, right?
J.J. Watt.
Okay.
I like that part.
J.J. or even Calais Campbell.
Yep.
Calais Campbell did not have a lot of sacks.
That's what I'm saying.
As an inside technique, but when he got kicked out in that more of a 4-2-5 kind of scheme that the Jags were implementing, and he could just beat a guy outside, and then the Yannick Ngakwe's were really getting a
physical right there in the,
and he was a 3rd round pick the same draft. And so, Dante Fowler obviously was out for that season because he had hurt his knee or whatever.
Yep.
But Caldwell got defensive. That's how I knew that the Jaguars were going to draft Dante Fowler, because I read his body language, and what he basically said was, well, we don't look at that stuff. We draft off, of the potential of the player and what he could project to be in the league, and blah blah blah. And it's like,
that's bullshit. Stop asking me questions. I don't like.
Probably
to answer.
so. Probably so, because it was like, okay, you're not talking to regular fans here. You're in a room with
people who try to think like you.
Coaches. Well, I mean, no, coaches and GMs think totally different. Sometimes these GMs were not like former NFL players.
This is turning into a Teach Johnny football class.
Yeah, we went away from the draft, but it's okay. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. We went away from the draft review, but this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, no, like me. This is you guys are on a journey with me now. So I know this the triad, the rule of threes for it is the best relationship between the head coach, the GM, and the owner. That's what a key football team, that's the best case scenario.
That's why there wasn't an EVP brought in, because that adds a 4th leg that you don't need.
Yeah, and so what are the specific jobs? Is there specific jobs for each? Like what? Because I know in baseball, it's general manager gets the players. Head coach tells you what order and how to use the players. Owner gives them permission to do all of that.
Well, they have to run they also run the company that funds them in the lean times.
Yeah.
Well, baseball is, to start that conversation, and I'll try to keep this brief. Baseball is different from the NFL. NFL has a collective bargaining agreement, okay, where baseball, to my knowledge, does not. Mm-hmm. That's why you have the Yankees that can spend God's money, and get players.
That's
and then the Tampa Bay Rays have to be very smart with who they draft and their development in their farm system.
The athletics.
Right. And they have to be very, good with their money, with who they sign. So you don't usually see the Tampa Bay Rays make splash signings where the Yankees do. Well, guess what? The Rays are still perennially, really good players.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, really good, baseball players, but also baseball teams. Mm-hmm. And they go deep into the playoffs and all that, right? I mean, The Rays are not trash.
They've actually improved a
And
lot
fuck
in
the
these
Rays.
last few years.
And they do it on a tight budget, and they draft well and they develop well.
Right.
And when a player is kind of hit that point where it's like, all right, look, we cannot afford $20 million a year for this player because we have another shortstop who is
Dominican. Want to get him in here.
he's just got to figure out a little bit of hitting, but he's got all the defensive tools.
Right.
That guy's way cheaper.
Well, and
NFL's different. Collective bargaining agreement, everybody gets the same amount of money.
Yep.
I think outside of the collective bargaining agreement, what comes into play is how much vision, how much upfront money, and how much influence does that owner have in the community. Like Shad Khan, all right, yeah, those big video boards at TIAA Bank, Everbank, Altel, whatever you want to call it, however old you are.
Called it Everbank.
yeah.
Okay, so TIA Bank, as it is now, those boards weren't just Shad's money. That was the city of Jacksonville's money in part
That was
too.
our money.
That was taxpayers.
Yeah,
And
taxpayers.
it has a municipal output.
And you know what? I'd do it again.
Well, that's what you're seeing now. With the shipyards and all this stuff going on. On the riverfront, there is a lot of growth happening. There's a lot of positive, and that comes with Shad being able to back some of these ventures outright if he needed to, which he doesn't need to because he has business partners of his own. You don't become a billionaire by yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You do it with a network.
I do it all the time.
And then you have support from the city. Lenny Curry and his office is they're very pro Jacksonville Jaguars as an organization.
Yep.
And so you have the missing piece to that. If you want to just keep into this triad trinity kind of concept, is success on the football field. If you're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And because the fan base is connected, they're young. They want the Jaguars to win. They spend money. They get the season tickets. They travel. It's not all people from London watching the Jaguars. There's Jacksonville Jaguar fan base wants the success and wants to support it and has supported it in very bad years.
Exactly, and adding to that, prior to coming up with the stuff for the in memoriam, I was looking at the attendance records. I was telling Johnny on the way here. I was looking at the attendance record of the Jaguars from the year that I found that they started keeping track of every year's of the attendance, which around 2008. And for the most part, Jacksonville year in, year out, and we know 2017 was their best year, but since 2008 to now, I'm pretty sure they've only sold and they've only had an average attendance under 50,000 or so once, and they've only had an attendance under 60,000 a couple times. So even in their 3-win season, there's the fact that they're still averaging over 60,000 fans tells you something about the fan base. Mm-hmm. It shows you, hey, we're here, we want to win. Look at last year. Had no chance last game of the season. Whole fan base shows up as clowns and ruin the Colts' chance.
They did not try to show a lot of footage of the fans. I do remember watching that game,
that too.
And they did not try to show that.
Is it boobs?
I drew
eyes. I didn't know what you were showing me. Boobs or eyes?
I was gonna have you tell me. I didn't know.
I mean, I guess.
I drew a 2 by accident. That's a really nice 2.
But I thought that was pretty
sketches
impressive.
at the psychologist. Tell me what you see.
Yeah, right. Tell me what you see in the splotch.
I see
now
a
they're
boob
right
here.
down.
I see a boob here. I see boobs everywhere.
Still very much an adolescent.
But oh yeah, I'm 12 all the time. I don't care.
I'm 12 till I'm 50.
Yeah, 12 till I'm dead. I don't care.
So with the Jaguars, like the infrastructure is building around the organization. Mm-hmm. The excitement level is, I think, only going to rise as the fans see what Shad's vision for the Jaguars, and it's always been winning.
Right.
But it's not just Shad's vision. It's like to answer your question, coming back to the 3, it's Shad's vision, Peterson, which is the right coach.
Yep.
Vision, and then with whoever the GM is. I don't think the GM's vision is as important because the GM at the end of the day, he is basically in between both the head coach and the owner. And here's the thing. Trent Baalke, in my opinion, or whoever the GM does his football acumen doesn't supersede Peterson's right now because Peterson has a ring. So unless you get that's just everybody's thinking it, so you might as well say it.
No, I mean, it's the truth too. I mean, you don't win a ring just like I said earlier, doing stuff that doesn't work,
or beat
the Patriots in a Super Bowl to get that
or
ring,
or by being just a good guy. Like It wasn't like the Eagles won a Super Bowl because Peterson figured out if I give these guys ice cream after film, they'll play harder. No. He's a good human being.
That would absolutely make me play harder.
He's a good human being. He knows how to put together a staff. He knows how to motivate his players and put them schematically in the best position to make plays for the most part. I mean, every now and then, a defensive coordinator is going to watch enough film, sniff it out, look at the analytics, and go on third and 2, all right, on this hash, they run these 4 plays. Mm-hmm. This alignment and this call can stop 3 of those
4 plays.
4 plays.
Right.
That's a 75% chance of stopping it. Run it in. Green dot it in.
We need to do a video of you putting me through a football knowledge boot camp, and I just don't understand a thing.
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
Here's something I got. We got them in. I haven't played with it much. It's called an e-glass. It's just a big screen. You can draw on it with like and so I could do formational stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Get that in
nice.
here.
So,
which we have a bunch of stuff to talk about after the pod.
Right. If you wanted to do some summer stuff, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, we had an idea for the summer stuff.
Anyway,
I had an idea.
In the next 5 to 10 minutes, let's run through these next draft picks and let's just give a general score because let's be real, this draft class wasn't anything to hoot and holler about.
I disagree actually. I think okay, to go with the memoriam.
Hit the bomb, Coach Chris.
Yes,
bam.
I think this draft paired with some picks last year and this draft.
Okay.
I think the memoriam is on the Jaguars' losing days and losing bad and losing a lot are dead. I think those are what's dead.
Okay.
Dead.
So you think between...
So you heard it here. So if it doesn't happen, it's his fault.
So and
fire me.
Just to add to that, and that's just with the improvements.
The implementation of the structure of like how
they drafted and how they brought in
the collaboration.
Like you mentioned, the
collaboration.
The Peterson to be a head coach now. And like I said, hopefully move that offense and show we can have a good defense with an offense that can also move the ball. And we don't have to be so reliant on that defense anymore. Because, I mean, let's be honest, for the most part of 2017, that's what carried them. But
it wasn't Blake Bortles.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm saying. It was mainly the defense. But imagine if that offense could have, been just a tad bit better,
dynamic.
And let's hope now
wasn't down.
And let's hope those are behind us. But with that being said, let's jump into it.
Okay, so we went with some team needs. Going into this thing. No particular ranking, just right off the cuff. All right, I felt like that O-line, interior O-line, I have them split, but, I mean, you could just roll them all into one, even though tackle is, a very valuable position that's overanalyzed as far as a guy can set and he can anchor and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Receiver, I still had high up on the board. I know that they have numbers on the roster right now, and they believe in those numbers, because they didn't draft a receiver. Yeah. They had 12 picks, and they moved a few of them off, and they still didn't draft a receiver. Yep. And I don't know if that's a testament to how deep we kept hearing about this receiver class, how skillful they are, which is true. You can watch a lot of these guys film, and you have guys who can catch back shoulder stuff, guys toe tapping.
Oh yeah,
two toe
class.
tapping. And as a guy who's worked with defensive backs, I'm gonna tell you what, a well timed back shoulder. All right, with a receiver and a quarterback who are on the same page, and those guys are having the same brain. Your technique, you can't drive on the back shoulder like, oh, I know what it is, because the second they get a sniff that guy's driving on the back shoulder,
smells like bullshit.
They're just hooking it up.
Yep.
And it's now, instead of a first down gainer, 3rd and 11, and now it's move the sticks. Who knows what the next series is going to have for you? But just boom, there's your shot play, even though it's not called a shot play. But you don't think Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers didn't have that kind of look? It was like, hey, if this guy's jumping that back shoulder, go get it.
Same thing with you could say Mahomes and Tyreek. Even though Tyreek is the slot, but or Mike Evans and Tom Brady, same kind of thing.
I think more to what we're talking about is the relationship between Gronk and Brady.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you're more right.
I think they had.
Right.
I think they had. That's why Gronk came back. Did that cool thing where he
him
blew
and
the clock and
Godwin
he
were
ran out.
heating up last season, though.
Yeah.
Him and Godwin were really killing it.
That's because that chemistry takes a little time, and that was what Tom's second year in Tampa.
Yeah.
So that chemistry, takes a little bit of time. And so I think with the receivers, I think they didn't have a lot of receivers very high on their board. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that guys they thought were going to go a little lower kept getting plucked off the board a little higher than they were comfortable or what they felt like they could give up to go get. So then tight end, that's not fan service. I think you could raise the floor for tight end.
I agree.
Even though I really like Chris Manhertz as a player. I think he does a lot of things that make a running game functional.
Right.
Very, very functional by having that big body that gives you that extra surface player that expands gaps. And
he's fat. We get it.
No. He's a big boned guy. He can run and make. He can play.
Not fat.
He's a big man. He's a big physical player.
I haven't even seen this guy.
What's the second string tight end?
Well, okay, so this goes
Didn't
to
they draft
this
one
is
last year?
This is a coaching thing. Luke Ferrell came in the 6th round last year from Ohio State.
Yeah,
Ferrell, whatever. But that may be more of a Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer recruited that kid to Ohio State.
I know. Yeah,
he's drafting his own kid. So he's been in that young man's house.
Yeah.
He's been in that living room. He was sitting on that same couch that young man was sitting on, watching himself get drafted.
It was probably the easiest draft. He was like, I'm getting drafted.
I already know this kid's good.
Yeah.
And I think he has a shot to make the team.
See, I like Manhertz in a run game play, and I like Ferrell in a flat out get the tight end. Maybe in like a 3rd and 5.
He's not explosive.
No.
Yeah, he's not explosive. The guys to really watch for, and these are two Peterson type dudes, is Evan Ingram, who I would have drafted in a heartbeat if I was in one of those middle rounds. I would have drafted or middle of the 1st round years ago. I would have drafted that kid because I think he's a very good player. He and Dan Arnold, who went to a University of Wisconsin, one of the smaller ones, but he was a track kid.
We did get Dan Arnold last season.
Dan Arnold, but he didn't sign with the Jags, but the Jags liked him so much they went and traded for him to get, obviously, rights for his contract. And so with a guy like Peterson as your head coach, the Jaguars might become a place where free agent tight ends go, hey, I want to go there. Now, that's based on what they can do with Evans this coming year. Evans signed a 1-year deal, and I don't know this for a fact, but just listening to Evans talk about, coming in and everything, it feels like him and his agent got together and said, hey, if the Jaguars are serious about using tight ends like we know Peterson has used him in the past, we'll sign a big fat contract with Jacksonville the year after. Okay?
Yeah.
And all that guaranteed money will be right before they have to re-sign Trevor Lawrence to a mega deal, whatever the market's reset it to by then.
See,
Right.
and that's what I'm really worried about is I really think we're going to lose Trevor.
Well,
I don't know. He's
It's
a pretty he's like a loyalty kind of guy, but still.
he's not, but he's no dummy.
Agreed.
That's a conversation for a different point. But so you have Ingram and you have Dan Arnold, who are move tight ends. They are really good move tight ends. And I think if a guy like that Bevan kid from Miami last year was in this draft, I think they would have drafted him somewhere in the middle rounds. Because I thought he was a move guy. Maybe not your most explosive guy, but he was that H-back, moving around. He could be in the slot.
Okay.
You know, he could – everybody thinks slot has to be a small guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Small and fast.
Yeah, but that's not true. Okay, if you're running some sort of stack formation where you have – you see that Coke? Okay, and –
Here you go, Johnny. Here's a formation for you.
So
Holy shit.
So you have-
hold on.
you have this like stack kind of formation, all right?
Say it.
It makes no sense
Say
to
it, good.
have a 5'8", 170-pound guy
5'8",
right here.
170.
All right, right on the line of scrimmage. He's your on-ball guy, and he can get beat up by a big safety
Yeah,
or whatever.
fucking
Linebacker.
Okay, you put 6'5", 230, 240 plus or whatever right here. He can push
That's
coverage
scary.
deep, and now these guys can exchange. They have space to operate.
Right.
There's one thing to remember about offense. Offense wants to operate in space. Defense does not want to operate in space. It wants to constrict
Yep.
and tackle.
Like a boa.
Okay, where offense is create space, operate in the space, chew yards, and then score touchdowns. That's really football on offense, defense in a nutshell. And the way you create space is by having the big, tall guy who can run, push the safety off, and get a linebacker to either jump outside of that route consistently because he's so scared of getting beat a certain way, or jump too hard inside, and now you have that breaking corner to the outside. There's
We
a lot
should
of
draft
things.
Mike Tyson.
He's too old.
Mike Tyson.
What
outta
would he
here.
play? Fullback in a league that doesn't use fullbacks
Yeah,
anymore?
right.
He'll just punch
Hold on.
whoever.
It's Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah, he'll just punch.
That's what you're
whoever
asking
comes
about?
Near.
You know what they call the middle linebacker in football, right?
Yeah, Tyson,
No, they call him the Mike.
Mike. That's what I said.
So I guess you would
He's
just
generally the
draft
quarterback. He's generally the quarterback of the defense.
yeah.
Yeah, he don't have to be. He don't have to
No,
be the green
no.
dot guy.
He's
No,
a,
he don't.
No.
Aluakon. I think
Yeah.
Aluakon early right now. I think Aluakon is the green dot guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that
Green
put the green
dot,
dot.
red dot. I don't care what culture you're from. Get on this team, you big silly goose.
But so with Dan Arnold and Evan Ingram, you have move guys that can really create some spacing options for these other receivers. I think Zay Jones has a good route tree to bring in. I think he's a good natural runner, push space. Christian Kirk, gonna have to earn that money.
Agreed.
Earn that paycheck.
You're gonna have to
No,
earn that
well,
money,
Earn that
and I think he
paycheck.
will. I think he will.
Yeah.
And he's a move guy. If what they brought in on offense was any indication of what they were going to do moving forward, they did it also in the draft. The draft was just a defensive reflection of what they did offensively in
The year
free agency.
before.
No, in free
Oh,
agency this year.
Oh, okay.
Christian Kirk is a
Oh,
move.
yeah, that's right.
He's a
this
move
year.
guy. He's not just a slot guy. He's a move guy.
Yeah.
Dan Arnold can
The
move
Jones.
around.
What was that, Zay Jones or something?
Zay
From-
Jones, I think you can move
from
Zay Jones, but
Raiders.
I think he's more of your traditional X kind of guy. Guys that are near or outside numbers. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not guys you move
Into the field.
to the hash.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need them to because you need to obviously push your vertical passing game, and you need
Correct.
guys who can run and do that. That's why Marvin Jones is kind of a little bit of a quandary here because he's not as fast as he once was, and so he doesn't threaten guys. Most NFL DBs are not threatened by Marvin Jones' speed.
Right.
Now, Zay Jones, if you don't respect Zay Jones, he's going to
beat you.
He's going to beat you because he can run.
Yeah.
He really can. And so you have that. But with the offense, going back to something I was saying earlier, with raising the floor for the offensive line, okay, the offensive line needed some quality depth, and I don't think they really thought that way. Obviously, they went and signed Sheriff, but Sheriff has a similar knock to what Brandon Linder had the last few years. Is he never finished the last one?
Hashtag RIP.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon Linder was a really good player. I think he played tackle at Miami. I think he played basically all 5 positions or something. He was an athlete, man. He's a stud. He was a stud. That was a good draft pick.
Hey, 5-star gold.
Yeah, I don't know if he was a 5-star coming out of high school.
4-star.
Yeah,
No,
Well,
I'm talking about captain.
He was like a 4-star. 4-star captain. Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he's
first 4-star captain in franchise history.
But that patch thing hasn't been around that long.
Yeah. Come on, man. You act like that's been around since the 70s.
Hey, I asked the questions.
Okay, yes, sir.
And I've got the answers.
What's the next question?
So, next question is, to wrap this up in a sentence or two, how would you sum up Jaguars draft and your hope for the future?
I'd sum it up that I think they did what they wanted to do and go defense. If they were as concerned about the offense as we all wanted them to be, then they would have drafted more offensive players. I don't think anybody was tricked. I don't think fan base was hoodwinked or anything about.
I was, because I don't pay attention.
Doug Peterson's an offensive guy. We're going to go offense. I don't think that's the case.
Right.
I think they looked at the tape and they said, this defense with a new defensive coordinator coming in and a lot of new, it needs to have a fresh base of talent that is versatile. Like I was saying about Evan Ingram and even Travis Etienne. You keep bringing up Etienne. I think Etienne's a move guy too.
Right.
These are all guys that can get moved around to make plays. And so they reflected that in this draft. So going to the first round with Trayvon Walker, okay, you have a guy who played multiple techniques in college. He was at a 5. He was at a 4-eye. He was at a 3-tech.
Hey, we don't have to make names.
They even reduced him down to near nose guard. Where nose guard 0 or a shade on the center. They moved that guy around. And here's some interesting things that I think stand out about him. Okay, it's not just 6'5", 275, ran a 4.52 at the combine. All that. Those are like when you make a player on Madden or in college, the college games. All right, when you make that player and you go, what does this defensive end look like?
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's the speed, and unless you're one of those 4-year-olds that want to put like 99 speed, which is ridiculous. But so like he has the physical metrics. What I saw on tape and looked a lot different than what we were hearing about. He didn't have the stats. But he made the play. He was put to quite a bit. He was put to the strong side of the formation and was asked repeatedly for hundreds of snaps to be double teamed. Mm-hmm. All right, and we're talking SEC football here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so being double teamed takes energy out of you. Okay, and you have to get rotated off. Here's the thing. Who do you think played the most defensive snaps for Georgia last year on their defense?
Walker.
Walker did.
Ooh.
More than some of them DBs, too. Little guys who should have much better stamina.
Yeah, your DBs.
And they're not taking on double teams. They're just turning around with a guy.
Or even a safety. A safety be just sitting up there watching the field like an outfielder.
Yeah, they're just no work's coming to them because it's getting eaten up by the front 7.
Yep.
With the Quay Walker and the Tyndall kid and then Nakobe Dean and Wyatt and Davis. All those guys ate because you had a guy like Trayvon Walker who could take doubles. Now that doesn't mean that the big 6'4" or 6'6" 340-pound kid that the Eagles drafted. That was Davis, right?
Hold on, I can tell you.
The other one's Wyatt. 95 was Wyatt. 99 was the
Eagles.
The real big kid. But
Jordan
that kid,
Davis?
Jordan Davis, yeah, that kid is a mammoth, but he didn't have stamina. Okay, Trayvon Walker had stamina. Okay? And so you can't just look at 6'6", 340 and ran a 4.86 or whatever he ran, which is ridiculous. That's moving for a big boot.
That is, dude.
It's
especially when you literally only go back as short as like 20 years, and like a lot of your linemen were running like 5 seconds.
Or 5.17 is actually a respectable time.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like that's how you've seen like the growth in the sport of like players like being faster, being more physical.
I think training athletes is getting to such a science that how to train a guy to run the proper way to have efficiency in just a 40-yard
dash.
I think a better question would be, how do you train a dragon?
Well, you just pop in the DVD. Or actually, no, that's DreamWorks? So who's DreamWorks on Peacock?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, I got kids. I got Disney Plus. I got Peacock.
Yeah, I got.
Have talking animals.
I don't have kids, but I don't have kids, but I do have the Disney Plus because I am a kid at heart.
But I do believe How to Train Dragon is DreamWorks, which has not, to my knowledge, been acquired by Disney yet.
Not yet.
DreamWorks,
but the Empire will.
DreamWorks was created in spite of Disney.
Yeah, and their first big thing was what, Shrek, right?
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Huh.
I just want to say about the draft that I think I'm gonna go with Coach Chris. I think they drafted pretty good because I feel like most of their offensive stuff that they wanted came from last year. I think they lacked ETN for my RPO, like. With the evolution of RPO coming into the NFL now, transferring over to NFL a little bit here recently, that's why I say like just giving Trevor that outlet at times, just to have that outlet.
Yeah, Evan Ingram can be that guy. There's a lot of Christian Kirk. There's a lot of guys that can RPO if that's where they go.
I was looking at it like James Robinson obviously is our running back. ETN could be that passing down running back. And if you can have two, and not to say ETN can't run, but like I guess I just like look at that like it's always great to have a guy that can do both, like a Kamara.
I think what for everybody watching, what you're trying to say is ETN, if you absolutely had to, he was the only back with two good legs, you could run inside game with him.
Right.
However, you don't have to, and you shouldn't if you have a James Robinson
Agreed.
or Snoop Connor, who is your basically, in my opinion, until they feel comfortable with James Robinson's medical, Snoop Connor is your inside runner.
Right. Okay. And I don't have I think that's what I just like ETN as that passing option. I think he opens up that passing option for the Jags on. I think when you put him in the shotgun or something, so I like ETN as like a passing down kind of guy.
I see ETN's touches ratio split in a similar fashion as Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Okay. If I remember right, I don't think Alvin Kamara has had a 1,000-yard rushing season yet. However, he's had 800 rushing yards, 750 receiving yards, right? Not passing, but receiving yards. So he's a guy that they get touches to him based on what matchups and what formations and what personnel gets stuck on the field by the defense, and then they flex him out, and now he's one-on-one with a 6'4", 250-pound outside linebacker who's a 4'7" guy in college, and 5-6 years later in the league, he's probably not 4'7" anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He's up there in the fives.
Maybe not that slow, but he's getting to where he's going because of his experience, but he's not getting there because his legs are faster than his young 20-year-old self.
Right.
So I think that's where ETN goes. So let's get through some of these, real quick. So I talked about the snap thing. So when I did the breakdown, Walker played 596 of 970 snaps. That's about 61% of the snaps defensed, which is a lot.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the guy has a gas tank. That was one of my things I said. He's got a gas tank. And again, he had to go against frequent double teams. Go ahead and throw on YouTube. Go find the YouTuber Do a Barrel Roll. He does a lot of great stuff with offensive somebody's offense versus somebody's defense, college stuff mostly that I've seen. And go put in Clemson's offense versus Georgia's defense, and you'll see there's a couple clips around like the 3-minute to 4-minute mark. There's a few plays where an offensive Walker's being doubled, and then a third offensive lineman peels off his guy for some reason, and inserts and becomes a third blocker to triple team Walker. I don't understand why that kid would do that. I'm pretty sure he wasn't coached to do that.
Yeah.
He just
off the gut feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe those guys up there were calling a tag with a triple.
Yeah,
you know,
Some of the guys are like, I bet you won't.
with tag with an extra G.
I bet you won't. I bet you
But
won't.
I bet you won't. I bet you
So getting into some of my notes, yes, Walker had more opportunities, but he was repeatedly doubled, chipped, and even triple teamed. Clemson film. I'm not making a defense for the pick. I'm just defending the player. I think Walker's film shows a player that has a deep gas tank and a willingness to play where he is asked, not where he would most be productive or where he personally would like. And that shows his character as a human being, and it shows his willingness to be a teammate. And I think those are critical championship qualities. This pick will pay dividends as more talent like Lloyd and Muma are collected in future drafts. So my strength was big gas tank, played a lot of snaps, impressive given how much he was doubled. His weakness, moveset. Yeah.
Okay.
I think because when you're I know when you're asked to move around a lot, it's just you only have so much time in practice, and there is time. Even college, has NCAA limitations when you can be out there on the field with your players teaching things. Having them hit a bag and stuff.
Okay.
And so when you have a guy playing inside technique, his hand placement, his eyes go in different places than when he's a 5-tech.
Yeah,
okay?
when he's outside.
Yeah, his triangle is different. Okay, so hand placement is different. Where more you can get into, one half of a man beater, and beat just a outside shoulder because you're already that you're the 5. And if it's a down block, you're just squeezing it down and looking for something the wrong arm or spill. Some coaches prefer the spill. Some it's wrong arm, whatever. And so I think at some point something had to give. Well, if you have him in one position and you're coaching him to just read, a certain set amount of scenarios, that's when the time in practice for him to work on move set, that can happen. And so I think that's why you may have a limited move set, because you just can't teach the kid every single thing because he's playing multiple techniques.
Right.
He's not exclusive to one technique. And so that's the only weakness. Boom bust, I actually put him at 45%, under 50%, so I don't think he's a plus 50% bust guy. Per fan stats, who like these career stats, etc., they'll probably say he's a bust. But I think fans' expectations of 15 to 20 sack guys every year will lead to some thinking that he was a bust. His best year may be 15 sacks in 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever.
Right.
But if he's asked to move around and absorb doubles, or stunt inside, and it causes offensive linemen to step and chase color, and allow other guys to loop out and move around and create havoc with movement, because he's going in there understanding I can insert myself into this B gap and handle a guard center combo every time without giving up a lot of ground, because you can't just do that with a 235-pound outside linebacker, and stunt him inside, and absorb a double team, and that guy gets up and then gets moved off the ball, and now you have you have multiple seams when you look at those end zone shots.
Right.
Sometimes you're creating a seam that shouldn't be there by being too cute, which I've done before.
Yeah.
And so you can't be too cute.
I hate when they're just too cute.
Yeah.
That
And so Trayvon Walker is a guy who's a down and dirty player that you can scheme cute things with him, but again, he's a good chess piece.
Okay.
So I think his bust rate is lower than what some fans would be like. Oh, he's got a guaranteed Dante Fowler 2.0. No, Dante Fowler, all right, got in trouble on his high school football team because he didn't want to play nose guard.
Yep.
All right, and he was a stud athlete then, and he could have been whooping slow-footed guards and centers on the inside, but he wanted to be whatever he wanted to be, and then now he's, on his fourth team in 5 years?
Yep.
As a third overall pick?
Yep.
Yeah, too bad.
Yep.
Too bad.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, honestly, even though I'm a Gator, personally, and there's always the speculation of we don't know what would have happened had Dante Fowler played his first year. But at the same time, it's like, even being a Gator, I got to say, I like Walker over Fowler. I think that's a better defensive pick when you put those two side by side.
I think your snap count, I think the snap count with Ngakoue would have been a lot lower. And so you wouldn't have seen the early glimpses of Ngakoue because Ngakoue had to step in and step up, and he did. And he made us quickly forget who or what a Dante Fowler
was. Right.
And then when he was around, he was forgettable.
Yeah, he was like.
And then when he went to the Rams, if he was a stud, the Rams would have found a way to re-sign him, but they did not.
He was so forgettable. I was like, who?
Yeah, a lot of us were. I only know the guy because he played with the Gators. I mainly know the guy because he played with Florida.
And he was committed to Florida State all the way up to signing day, and then flipped to the Gators on signing day.
Right.
And he did it, yeah, all that. So, and I'm glad, And,
yeah, hey.
Look, y'all can have that smoke. The Gators can have that smoke. Another bust on the Gator ledger of first-round picks.
Next one.
We will not talk about Taven Bryant.
No.
That will remind you. Battery's getting real low on this computer now.
All right, so Devin Lloyd, best inside linebacker of the draft. I watched a lot of game tape before he got drafted, so I felt like I knew this kid when he got drafted. Game speed is faster than his 40 time, which is better than the other way around. Great length and measurables, athleticism to play all three linebacker positions. Is a bonus edge rusher as well. What stands out the most is his instincts and playmaking ability. His film in the Utah-Oregon game was more impactful than Thibodeau. Lloyd takes on pullers and plays football the way it's supposed to be played. Don't be surprised if Lloyd plays all three downs as some sort of Sam. I know there's some thought that he's going to be a Mike, and be the green dot guy. I think what they're going to do is him and Muma are going to be moved in multiple positions to see where they best fit. I know Caldwell will probably bring in this money position, which is like a strong safety. Sam, it's a hybrid player. It's a move piece player. They're going to figure out which of the two can process and figure out that move position better. Is it Devin Lloyd or Muma? Muma. And which of those two guys can figure it out better, then the other guy goes and plays Mike. Because I think they both can play Mike, and they both can be green dot guys because they both are smart young men.
Yes, sir.
They're both very smart, instinctual football players.
Dang.
And here's the funny thing.
They're
both about 6'3", 235, 236, whatever,
dang.
240. They're similar physical builds.
Okay.
All right. So it's not like you got 5'11" Nakobe Dean. Can he play out there? Oh no, we got to stick him back at Mike. And then you got to get the 6'3" guy to go out there or whatever.
Kind of interchangeable.
They're interchangeable.
Yeah.
They're physically.
You're not missing much by switching
They're
a guy.
physically similar athletes. A lot of draft nicks miss that because they just look at this. They look at skin color and go, "Oh, he's like him." But when you look at the physical build and the intangibles,
Right.
they're interchangeable guys. They're not the same human, but they are interchangeable in their skill sets and what they bring football-wise.
Well, that's always a good thing to have in an organization.
And so for him, his strength is for Devin Lloyd, his strength is athleticism and feel for the game. His weakness is ability to take on big linemen in the hole. But I think that comes with technique and some size. NFL, he's going to learn a little bit leverage, pad level, and things like that, be able to do that if he's playing that mic. Boom bust, I think it's around 35%. I forgot to say at the beginning of that I put a 10% on all these guys for some sort of season-ending injury that leads to future injuries that cause a derailment of an otherwise, bright career. So all of these are about 10% over of what I would place on them.
Right.
Given an injury
25.
thing.
That ain't bad.
Round 2, they traded that away. Round 3, in the 65th selection, the first selection of the 3rd round, they went Luke Fortner, a center guard. He played center his final year. I actually jumped off the couch and was high-fiving. I was pumped. I did some research on this young man because I think that he is what Jeff Saturday was to Peyton Manning. He will be that to Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
He is Trevor Lawrence's Jeff Saturday.
Right.
Okay. And you go, whoa, that's big praise. Jeff Saturday.
High praise.
Jeff Saturday's got a Super Bowl ring with Peyton Manning, and they have such trust and a great player. Blah 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 blah. Okay. All right. Here's my analysis. All right. Fortner was the center I wanted when breaking down centers. He has 2 master's degrees before leaving college. Is impressive.
That is impressive.
All right, one of them's an MBA, and I think the other's an aerospace.
So he's not dumb either.
No,
he's smart.
He's bright.
This man is smart.
He's bright. And you want your center to be very bright. As future centerpiece and leader of the O-line for a decade, has enough athleticism to get to his spots. He takes good angles and uses tight hands. Like most centers, will need help doubling a moose of a nose from time to time. But that's not really a knock on Fortner when it's rather standard for a lot of centers in the league to need help on that big moose because that's why that guy is
where he's at.
Because he's the Davis kid, from Georgia. That's the big moose I'm talking about.
Yep.
And would it be meese if I was talking about multiple mooses?
I don't know. I say the same.
Multiple Mises?
See, I say that because of geese.
Geese, yeah.
I say that because of geese and goose.
Well, actually, okay. So,
do we have the battery time for this?
yes. So Neil deGrasse Tyson helped me with this. So if you were talking about a fish, it'd be fish. If you're talking about multiple fish, it'd be fish. But if you're talking about multiple species of fish in a large body of water, it'd be fishes.
Okay, so translate that to moose. We're not talking about different species of moose.
No, it would be.
I only know one
be
species of moose.
We're
Mice.
just, we're just.
I'm gonna say meese.
Mice.
I'm gonna go with what he said
It'd be
because I
mice?
think of
Meese?
goose, geese.
I like the spelling of meese better.
I like meese.
Meese.
It's like
If you go
it's
mice, it's
obviously
confusing.
moose, but I'm gonna
There's
go
all the
with
meese. Look at the meese.
You silly meese.
But you can't go with MICE because then that's mice or like
MIECE.
a whole box of like the before the D-pad stuff. And so, okay.
The defense pad.
So the 3rd round selection at 70 that they got, that was actually from the Panthers trade for C.J. Henderson, who was a bust.
Yes, big bust.
Not physical enough to play in this league, and maybe he'll figure it out, and I hope he does get to that second contract and all that kind of life-changing money.
I mean, let the Panthers have him, though. They're in kind of the same boat over here.
Yeah, and so, that's for a different time.
Yeah.
We could look at that.
Cam Newton has not won a game since he yelled, "I'm back," into the TV camera.
And so Chad Muma, we just spoke about just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Similar build to Devin Lloyd. I think they have similar skill sets. They both can come down and play the run physically. They both understand angles in football. They play the game the right way. They both have pretty good coverage depth and understanding. They get to their spots, or I think Muma more than Lloyd. So that's why you might hear this money talk attached to Muma. And then we could do some sort of chant, Mooma money. This is
Yeah,
Mooma money, baby.
I was
all
gonna
that
start
kind of.
dancing around the fire.
You do Mooma money or whatever, all that cool stuff. But he's, I definitely believe Mooma's going to make it to a second contract, be a Pro Bowl alternative, and then possibly make a Pro Bowl outright. Probably the same year when the Jags win the Super Bowl in a few years. His
Let's
tape,
hope.
Money on that.
His tape suggests better than average hips, decent explosion.
Nice hips.
he gets open and he
Get it.
he gets there. And an above average playmaking ability, better in coverage than typical Mikes are. That's why all this money talk. This money talk has some legs underneath it. His strength, I put intelligence. There's a lot of strengths. I think his intelligence. I think his ability to know where he's supposed to be,
his football
and
IQ.
get other guys lined up. I think his intelligence, and it comes off quickly in an interview, like most of these guys do. His weakness needs to get downhill faster. Some things I seen when watching Wyoming film, and I was watching Wyoming film to watch more Trey Mcbride, the tight end who went second round, and that's where Mooma flashed a little bit. So I was like, oh, I knew about this Mooma kid.
Yeah.
And so what I seen out of him when I went back and looked at him post draft, it was like, okay, he's smart, he fits where he's supposed to go. I just wish he did it faster.
Oh, okay.
I wish so that 6'5", 320-pound guy doesn't have 3 or 4 steps of momentum.
Okay.
By the time he's into his second, going into his third step, bang, there's your backer. Boom, boom, boom. Because he moves faster. He should. He's smaller, and he's getting downhill, getting in that guy's chest, bench pressing him off, finding out where the ball's going. But he's constricted space.
Okay.
More offensive linemen are able to progress downfield 5-6+ yards. That's space, and that creates two-way angles, for a running back or an athlete who's got the ball to cut and make a play off of the backer who's now taking on a 300-pound man.
Right.
Mano a mano.
Okay.
Oh, he's got mono?
No, he's got Mooma.
Oh.
No, we got Mooma.
Oh, but here's a little education. I had to look it up because I like names. You know what Mooma means?
I do not.
More money?
No. It means mother in Romanian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So little something there for you.
Learn something new every day. I try to tell myself that's what I strive to do.
So
Learn
I gave him a boom bust of 25%. I think it's rather low for him because of his intelligence, his build, his mindset. I think he's got the right mindset for the pro game, and so I think his bust is rather low for that. And he's a third-round pick. I mean, yeah, you expect third-round picks to be an eventual starter,
Correct.
to be an important piece. Mm-hmm. But here's the fun thing about being a third-round pick. Just like Yannick Ngakoue, nobody knew about him from Maryland, and he ended up being a much more impactful player, a player I wish the Jags would try to bring back in.
Yes.
But maybe they think he has too much of that old culture stink.
Yeah, see, that Jags, you could tell in this offseason, they were getting rid of him, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were
really
putting themselves
is
in
new
position
era.
to continue to get rid of him. They should have got rid of Miles Jack. He can't think.
Hey, he came to my Steelers.
But he wasn't down.
But he
He
might not have been down,
He
but
wasn't down.
he's not down for that green dot job either.
Yeah.
So, he's a good guy, but he can't process the whole thing in
Damn, you
general.
look good in that teal.
Yeah, well, guess what? Trayvon Walker would be wearing that 44 now.
Oh yeah.
Trey Walker, 44. All right. So Snoop Conner in the 5th round with the 155th pick. That was the Vikings pick from the Yannick Ngakoue trade. Mm-hmm. So you have that. My analysis is he was a quarterback in high school, okay, who developed into a 40-yard and in dynamo. So they did use him specifically when they were approaching, they were minus 50. So they had got past the 50-yard line, and they were minus 50, and you started seeing him on the field a lot more because he gave them that inside presence to get them that easy 4 or 5 yards, and then they could move around, operate their offense how they wanted to space things. And then when you got to 5 and in, and you got a touchdown because he was an inside pounder. But he's got some decent speed. He's got some vision. I like this athlete a lot. And I like the part that he's a former quarterback for this reason. Don't sleep on the fact that he can still spin it, throw the football, meaning gadget plays are totally in the Jags' back pocket. And we know Doug Peterson likes gadget
Philly
plays.
special.
Philly special, all right? Well, he's going to go all Snoop Connor on somebody.
Yeah.
All right?
I dig that.
All right. You can call it the snooper scooper or something. I don't know. All right. I don't care what you call it.
I like that.
So what I was saying is that Snoop Connor was a high school quarterback and then converted to running back because he has more of a running back build.
Oh, okay.
And so don't sleep on the fact that he can still throw the ball a little bit. Some gadget plays are still there.
Okay.
He's an interesting pick. He's a real sneaky real good pick.
It's a variety. You can make him strong at most things.
Well, he can do multiple things.
Yeah, you could
He's a gadget
run
guy.
that. You could run that reverse, toss it to him, and now he's throwing the ball to, like you mentioned, the Philly special.
RPO.
Throwing it to Lawrence now for a touchdown because this is Doug Peterson who brought out the whole reverse pass to my quarterback deal. So it opens up that, and as you were saying, having the former quarterback.
He's a former quarterback. He's a
so
smart
he knows
guy.
how to throw.
He's the mechanics will have to be practiced, but
Right.
it's not mechanics from like a guy who always played DB and has bricks for hands to begin with, and now you're asking him to
catch.
convert to receiver and then do all this other RPO, and we're gonna add a
Now he's
double
got
pass
instead of backing up, now he's got to actually learn stutter steps.
Right, you have that tool. The tools are already there in the toolbox when you drafted the young man. You did not have to teach him where to go get these tools or give them the tools.
What round did
he was the 5th round selection that came from the Vikings when the Vikings drafted for Yannick Ngakoue.
Oh, okay.
So
Dang,
it was a pretty good
smart
pick.
Smart pick.
Pretty good
I
pick.
like that.
The Jags brass are not being. I don't think the Jags brass are being truthful about Robinson's injury in regards to how much it has impacted his value with the club. I think that Achilles has got them going. Okay, look, that's our inside guy. That's our inside game right there, and that's coming off an Achilles. Okay. There's no surefire he's going to be 100% James Robinson. You have to get a guy built of similar stature and similar style to potentially be the starting inside, game running back.
Correct.
Where ETN is more of kind of moved around, outside zone, some RPO stuff where he's the target. You move him around to space him to give that playmaking ability, assuming he comes back from the Liz Frank.
Right.
That's an assumption in itself.
Correct.
Strength, lack of miles on the tires. He had 304 carries in 3 years. That's barely 100 carries a year in college. That's in the SEC. That's a toll, but it's not. It's spread out over 3 years, so that's good. But for about 1,580 yards, which is about 5.2 per rush, so that would be starter.
Yeah,
in the NFL.
That's good. That's good.
So not a lot of miles. I'm going to go with all the draft nicks because it's low-hanging fruit and everybody wants to hear it. His weakness, he lacks long speed, but I think he's fast enough.
So he's got short bursts, but he doesn't have
he's more midfield.
Yeah, but there's a lot of backs in the NFL.
If you need him to run that 70-yard touchdown, he's not. He's going to have the speed.
He has it.
He's going to have the speed.
I think as long as an 84.
Oh, okay.
So he's got speed.
Okay.
It's just they didn't. Here's the thing.
They have the ability to catch him.
Well, like I was telling Johnny, is when he came on the field quite a bit in his senior or junior, his most recent tape, the 21 tape, he did come in a lot minus 50. When they broke the 50-yard line, he was in and getting rotated in quite a bit from there.
Okay.
So he's a guy I think is your inside game, and then he's definitely near your goal line.
Okay.
A lot. I think at 19 out of his 26 rushing touchdowns, 19 were at like the three or less.
Okay.
So the Ole Miss used him.
Goal line preference.
Yeah. They used him, and he was effective, obviously. If he wasn't effective, they wouldn't have used him that way, and they would have found another kid.
Correct.
So he gives you that added value there that he he is specific to that inside game.
Okay.
But I do think he has enough speed, he has vision, and enough wiggle to make guys move. That 32-year-old, Will linebacker, those are 32-year-old hips that have probably 10 years of NFL seasons on those hips. A young kid does this, sticks a cleat in the ground, makes a decision. That turns into a reach, and 220 pounds runs right out of fingertips all the time. I don't care what league you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so young hips and young legs mean a lot in a league that is a very physical league like the NFL is. Okay. I have his boom bust at 20%. He may never break 1,000 while in a stable, because I think under Peterson there's always going to be a stable of running backs, which limits carries. Like rushing carry specific, not touches.
So in fantasy sports, do not take anybody.
Well, I mean, if you're drafting Jags guy already, besides the kicker, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, but you probably don't have many options.
But if they're using him as a goal line back who's productive at it, I don't play fancy any of that stuff.
Well, see,
but don't touchdowns count for more points than yards? Or
no. So see, like
not the long-winded.
So touchdowns are generally 6, and then your yardage is you get 1 point for every 10 rushing yards. So, and that's based off of the rushing yards they have throughout the game. So, if your guy goes for like a 70-yard rush, you can kind of call it 7 points plus the 6 for the touchdown. You could call it 13, but you almost have to see where he's at.
So, I guess to answer your question, for fantasy purposes, it doesn't sound like he's your guy.
No, but I mean, like you were saying, I mean, I guess it really depends on where they use them, when they use them, because if we don't get points for touches, but we did get points for receptions. So that's why I say, like, with a guy like Etienne, and Etienne might be a good guy as Jacksonville if they do the RPO, because that's your PPR.
Right. And Snoop Connor can catch the ball too. He's got good enough hands to catch,
he can be
catch
a sleeper.
An arrow.
He sounds
or a flare,
like a sleeper.
Something that is a check down, make a guy miss, and scoot the 5 yards, step out of bounds, save your body, and get the first down, change, keep moving.
I like him he sounds like a good sleeper pick, Johnny.
Yep.
Snoop Connor. Sounds like a good sleeper.
So the 2 6-round picks they had earlier, the 179 and the 187, they traded away. And so with the 6th-round 197 pick, they drafted small school corner Gregory Jr. from Ouachita Baptist. It's spelled Ouachita, but it's almost like a W sound, so it's Ouachita.
Where's that out of? Do you know?
No, Ouachita. It's I think Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah. So. It's something Baptist. like Ouachita Baptist. I'd love for Gregory to make it in the league, not just because he's a Jaguar, but because he's a small school kid, and that inspires other small school athletes.
You don't have to go D1 to be the great guy,
to be drafted or to be have opportunity.
Yeah.
And so there's that. Let's see. The tools are there, but how will he react against not just former D1 talent, like what he went against in the Senior Bowl? He was invited to the Senior Bowl, so he did drills. Okay. He competed against guys that were, D1 guys, all that. I saw quick footwork. I saw a pretty physical jam, which makes sense now that I dug into his pro day stuff, which was actually harder to find than it should have been. But it's a small school.
Yeah,
you don't know what their media production stuff looks like. And so with Junior, he's, let's see. I'd like to see – I'm interested to see what D1 developed into NFL stud player looks like. Coming from, because that is going from the base of the mountain to the very top.
Right.
Oh yeah. Okay. Just because you could jam a lazy 5-star who lazily got through 3 years of college and then is being looked at, or 4 years, and if he's going to the Senior Bowl, so he must be a senior. jamming the lazy guy who never learned how to run a route because he was just going to get schemed open on some sort of jet or a go route, and he never really learned how to run a route tree, more or less a route in that tree. You know, it's easy to jam a guy who doesn't have a plan. Correct. But the guy who's been in the NFL for 10 years and 8 of those are 1,000+ or near 1,000 yards, and he's a stud. That's the peak of the mountaintop. Yeah, you know, and that's a big.
Just find out where you stand.
I guarantee you, there's not too many of those running around. Whoever Wichita Baptist played,
right,
for him to line up against.
Correct.
So it's like, you know, can he make that climb? Can he?
It's the climb.
You know, can he do it? And I want him to, and that'd be awesome. So as far as his talent, he's got quick feet, good size at 6 foot. We'll see in training camp. I'll try to go see him live and see if he's not more of a 5'10" guy. They're saying is 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
You know,
on Tinder, I'm 6 foot.
Yeah. He did post 18 reps on the bench, which would have tied the top corner numbers. Waller and Jermaine. Let's see. Jermaine Waller of Vatek, and then Jalen Watson of Missouri. So no, that's Washington State. So Washington State. So his 18 bench press reps at his Pro D would have been the top 2 numbers at the NFL Combine.
Damn.
Now, there's a lot of DBs, corner, safety guys, you know, DBs, they lumped them all the same.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys didn't compete. And then I went back and looked at a few of them, and some of them didn't even do a bench press at their their own pro day. So it makes you think maybe they were like getting 10 or 11, which
they don't got the rep strength.
You know, it's like, okay, that's a pretty strong person if you can bench press 225 once. You're really strong if you can bench it darn near 20 plus as a 200-pound, you know, or that's easily ridiculous. Sub 200-pound athlete.
Yeah.
You know, that's really impressive. A 400-pound offensive lineman, you know, who should lose 60 pounds, you know, should be able to bench, especially those barrel-chested guys, the real wide, short arms. They should be able to rep that, you know, like they're getting up to brush their teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. 18 reps would have been, you know, hey, that's competing at the combine. Most, like I said, most didn't bench press. Young man kind of passes the eyeball test, but I want to see him in person. Juniors reps against Christian Watson at the Senior Bowl were concerning. Given Watson's big knock, his route running complexity, Watson got the best of Junior at the beginning of his route, not later when his size and build came into play.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the thing you expect about the guy who's not 6'4", 6'5", 215, you know. And if Junior is 6 foot, then he's not giving up a ton of size.
Correct.
And so it's like, man, that quick foot and footwork and his hand placement on his jam, you know, it could use improvement, but it was pretty physical. Okay. And he got beat by Watson, you know, from what I seen. And let me see. Oh, it's the wife. I'll call her back in a bit. And so
I'm getting hit up on my girlfriend.
And so I think he develops into a nickel corner. He may struggle for a couple of years and passes given up and bounce around a few teams as a career special teamer. That's what the statistics.
Like a returner.
That's what the statistics say. I didn't see any return film, so I can't speak of that.
So
I don't know.
Okay.
A gunner. The gunners are those two outside guys, and they go beat a guy and they go make a tackle, or they funnel a guy to a certain part of the field where they, the rest of the guys numbers are supposed to go.
Okay.
Try not to get too technical. And so he could be a nickel corner. I don't know if he'll play outside corner, even though all his film is outside corner. If he's all of that 6 foot and he has the length and all this, sure.
Yeah.
Fine. 6 foot. He ran like a 4.52 or something like that. I think at his combine, or 4.48, something like that. There's a lot of guys I looked at, so I'm getting maybe somebody else's numbers mixed up. But he's fast and he's fast enough.
Dang. Okay.
He's not a burner, like very
Timmy Turner.
Few guys are gonna run with that Thornton kid that came out of Baylor, because he ran like a 4.2 flat or something, 4.26 or something
Was
stupid.
that unofficial or official?
I think they bumped his official down, but the 2 clock times I saw were like in the 4.2s. And then they were like 4.32. I'm like, this kid looked stupid fast.
Right.
Out of the block the whole way
I'm
through.
gonna have to go watch this.
Yeah, the way he moved off that line, boom, 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 and the lines. If the lines blur by so fast that it's all like one white thing behind them, the guy's moving fast.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could still clearly see the lines, hum, 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 hum. The guy's moving fast.
Yeah.
But when it's hum, 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 and you can, it's starting to look like one big.
It's like start stop.
Yeah, the guy, that's a fast dude. He was fast. He was fast, and Olave ran fast too. I would have took that kid in a heartbeat as well. Okay, so his strength, quick feet, good hand placement on his jams. Weakness, level of competition is my number one concern. I want to see how that translates.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Exactly.
Because some teams may be patient with that, and some after a year go.
We gotta get ready.
Go get a different 6th-round pick.
Yep.
We don't. Now here's one that after watching the tape and trying to scrutinize the kid because I'm a DB's guy. Okay, was 6th-round selection, number 198. This was the Schobert trade. Schobert to the Steelers, and the Jags got the 198. So they traded that. They actually traded that one away too. I'm sorry. So with the 7th-round selection, with the 219, they picked up I say his name wrong, and I've heard it said correct a few times. Monteric Brown, cornerback, Arkansas. Actually, they did trade away the 219. I have that in my notes. They picked him up with the 222nd pick. That's right. I have that.
So a couple.
Okay, yeah, just keep reading the notes, Coach. His nickname is Busta Brown. It's catchy. It's funny.
That's cool. That's a good marketing tool.
He adds depth and pinch starter potential. He's a willing tackler. There's one play where he actually comes crown down and he hits the guy and the way his body went limp, I was like, oh no, neck injury, right? But it was like the 5th, highlight on his highlight package, and it was another 5 minutes left.
Oh shit!
So you're like, okay, his career wasn't over. So I was really,
oh my gosh,
he was woozy, and he probably just was seeing
Shook
stars.
up.
Yeah, a little smelling salt, and here's some Gatorade. But nothing I could find came from that particular play. Willing tackler, plays with solid technique to stay in phase. His big knock is his long speed, which on film is apparent here and there, but not so frequent that he's a complete liability or a liability at all, in my opinion. The biggest thing, his biggest strength, I'll jump right to it, is timing to find and defend the ball without getting out of phase and getting grabby. His ability to turn and run with the guy is, boom, hands go up, eyes get big. His timing to hit that ball away right before it's getting into the receiver's hands, or as it's in the receiver's hands, getting the hands to fight each other.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is when you go to catch a ball, all right, you try to get one hand to fight the other. You want to go for the ball, but you don't know where the ball is. If I'm running with you, you put your hands up.
Yeah, if
okay,
I'm like this.
I don't want to, at the last second turn, lose you and try to find the ball. That's right. I create an unknown, and there's already an unknown. So
right.
here's a known commodity. You go up, boom, I can see what your hands are doing. Your hands are adjusting here to go get it.
Yeah.
I can get those hands to fight each other. All right? I can get those hands to fight each other.
Sorry, I'm over here now because the camera died.
Oh, did it?
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all then the low button. Dude, bring it.
Okay.
Oh, you got one sheet of chair again?
Okay. Here we go. Thank you, boys.
All right.
Kneecap to kneecap.
Thank you,
All right.
boys.
That's how this works.
Here we are.
All right. Woo! All shoved under one camera.
All right.
Sweet. That's
What
cool.
were we talking about? Busta Brown, right? Busta.
Yeah.
So what I saw on film was a guy who had
really good. You can put some weight on it here.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I'm saying, like,
I just don't want you to
man,
get
you
tired,
good?
you
You
know?
good, bro?
I'm thinking about you guys.
So I saw a guy who had really good in the moment, like ability to play the ball and the receiver and make it.
Right.
There's a lot of guys, i.e. Tyson Campbell, who got drafted in the second round with the first pick in the second round, right?
I
Something
believe
like
so.
that.
I believe so.
Last year, who cannot find the ball, who cannot, hasn't shown much on film, cannot stay in that phase and track his receiver and then come back, and have solid eyes to find the ball if he's in man or something like that.
Correct.
He's not an in the moment player. He's
Right.
an after the fact. He's making he's there to make the
Yeah,
tackle.
he'll make the tackle for
But
you.
30
Make
yards
it-
is 30 yards.
Yeah, exactly. I
Like,
need you to be on this wide
Yeah.
And
receiver
2 feet
and
is
handle
2
your
feet.
man.
Yeah.
Like,
Water is wet.
do whatever you can
Or-
to make him not catch the ball.
Or even driving, even in zone where he's driving on the ball, he doesn't get himself in position and have like that in the moment break up.
Right.
That you're looking for in a player, and it's like, look, you gotta, you if you can't train that guy, you gotta draft him.
Yeah.
And so I felt like in the 7th round, that's pretty safe drafting a guy that you cut him. Okay, you sign him
Yeah.
with $16 million guaranteed.
Correct.
He's got what, 16,000 guaranteed. That just fell out of Shad Khan's pocket on
Yeah,
Main Street.
right. Yeah, no kidding.
That's probably now blown its way down to Forsyth.
I hope so.
He doesn't care about that 16,000. All right, shoot. Just to push the button on his yacht to start it up. All
Yeah.
right? That's probably
$15,000.
that's
Bellagio,
$16,000.
if you press the button, I think I remember hearing something like the fountains at the Bellagio. They got a button that you push, and it'll make the fountains all go off and stuff.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, it's every time you press that button, it's like $10,000,
Epic.
like of water that shoots out and like everything.
Yeah, the robots should be.
And I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Not
That's
the
pretty crazy.
5-year-olds. The 5-year-olds will push that button.
I'll take 10,000.
There'd be $1 million on the ledger in 5 minutes. And so with the 7th round selection of the 232, they actually that Josh Oliver pick they got from the Ravens, they traded away and moved out of. They packaged that with something, got rid of it. But
Okay.
going back to Buster Brown real quick, I gave him a rather low bust rate because he's a 7th round pick. Like, what do you expect him to be? All
He's
pro?
already a
Like,
7th round.
He's already a bust, in my opinion.
I think he could be. I think he'd be a very good player, a starter for a pinch starter, here and there, because of his ability to run and track and make a play on his man and on a ball. So I gave him a rather low one at 25%.
Oh, my cramp. I'm cramping.
And so with that said, that kind of wraps up the draft picks. Do we have time for the undrafted?
Honestly, we're on a record time now for a podcast.
Hey, who cares? I mean, this is a lot of information we
Whatever
got
you
to go
want to
through.
do. It's,
We like
I mean,
this.
hey, we're here.
No, I mean-
It's already 10 o'clock. We're here. Who cares?
No, I mean, well, I was asking you more because you said something about the.
Well, we only have 24% battery left on that. The
Okay.
SD card goes for days, so.
Well,
I'll just read through my notes and we'll wrap.
we'll just.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Sure,
right.
We'll do that.
So, let's see. The Josh Thompson kid, the DB out of Texas, physical safety body, special teamer value. He does look like a safety.
Okay.
They did get Andrew Mavis, Iowa State kicker. Nick Ford, the Utah, played in the same time frame and on the same teams as last few years as Devin Lloyd.
Oh, okay.
Decent tape. He doesn't pursue and get involved as much as high end guys, that you want as offensive linemen, because
Right.
like that 200-pound running back who's got 3 guys and he's working through that pile. A 300-pound frame would be helpful.
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to run it. So,
Right.
push that pile for 2 or 3 more extra
Yards,
yards.
exactly.
That could set you up at 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2,
Versus
as opposed to
2 and 7, or
Yeah,
or
exactly.
3 and 7.
So, you can't get enough of those guys.
Right.
You know, you can't get enough of those guys who run the ball, and I didn't see that as much as I would have liked to. So I didn't really form that many notes on him,
Okay.
other than I wish he'd run. The D tackle Israel Antwine. Hard to see his number on his jersey to see if that's 96 or 95, which he was 95 because of the shiny colors on Oklahoma State's. So it's I couldn't tell. I was spending way too much time clicking back. Was that 95 or 96, 98? And so I got frustrated. I was like, too bad.
Right.
They got too fancy with the numbers. So that's just whatever. They did get a safety out of West Virginia. I think he'll be a special teams guy. He'll probably stick around. Shabari Davis, Southeastern Missouri State. Again, similar thoughts. He had a lot of film out there, but I wasn't sure. Like I think most of his that kid pop plays, splash plays, whatever, highlight reel stuff,
Right.
return game. So I think he's more of a look at returner,
Okay.
as opposed to, is this a guy we can get something out of in the defense overall? He may be, special
teams worthy.
Yeah. But does a kid like that make the practice squad if you go into the season relatively healthy? Probably not. He probably doesn't even make the practice squad, the
Right.
10,
Have go try out for another team.
Right, yeah, he may be on to somewhere else. Then you had the DN, Shahan Dixon, Norfolk State. Yeah. If he plays if he goes into camp playing as high as he did in his film, then the kid he's here for a cup of
Okay.
Joe.
So he's a good back. He's good at
Good cup of
or a
Joe.
starter.
No, he's he cut. No.
He's a cut guy.
He ain't making the team.
Oh, okay.
He ain't
My
making the
bad.
practice squad.
I
yeah,
misinterpreted.
me too. I
I
thought he was
misinterpreted.
drinking coffee with the owner.
That's what I thought.
I have just a good chance of playing in and making that 10 as he does. If he plays,
You want to
as
make
high-
that a bet? We're
I-
trying out
I
tomorrow.
said, as long as, just to clarify, as long as if he plays as high as he did of what I saw on his tape, he ain't making it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I miss.
you
Yeah,
you're
that's
not-
where I
You
misinterpreted.
can't play that. You can't play that high. You can do it at Norfolk State. When you're
Yeah.
playing, I don't know, Virginia Military Institute or
Yeah.
whatever. But you're not getting away with that in the NFL.
ITT Tech,
Yeah, you're getting married.
University of Phoenix.
And Denzel
Go Phoenix.
Okafor.
Go Seahawks! Woo!
It was hard to find recent tape on Okafor, the O-line, Texas O-line. He's had good earlier tape, but his senior year was cut short with an injury.
Oh,
and the only
okay.
thing kind of concern is like, are they going to burn one of their 10 practice squad spots for a guy coming off an injury? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
they had him graded really high, and they got him an undrafted free agent, and he was like a 5th round pick on their board.
Right.
But nobody was kicking the tires on that because of an injury. But they did have him at a much higher
Spot.
grade.
Okay.
So they may have got a steal there in a year or two. I don't know. Luwan Willingham, Central Arkansas, tall receiver, 6'4", 6'5", 200 pound. They say 200 pounds. He's probably 190.
Okay.
Maybe. A tall drink of water that shows the ability to rise up and fight for contested balls. Willing blocker, good teammate, also a military background.
Okay.
So come back to something we were talking about before the pod. Devin Lloyd, 27th pick for the Jags, and the first overall pick, Trayvon Walker, both had parents that were military.
Okay. Background.
That have a military background, which starts to be a theme. That's a
Okay.
trend. If it happens once, it's not. It's whatever. It happens twice, nah. Still, that's
Must
a
be
coincidence.
nice.
But if it happens 3 or more times, it's a trend.
Yeah.
And so
It's a
I
pattern.
think, it's a pattern of behavior, and I think the Jaguars,
Get him out.
are trying to build maybe some sort of identity and a connection with the football team, and
We need to build a culture.
an identity with Jacksonville, which is a military
Yeah.
city.
Well, that's what he's saying.
So,
You draft-
Oh,
you know-
I'm
you
sorry.
draft-
and
no,
they're
okay.
good. They're good culture guys.
Yeah, you
They're
draft
good
well,
culture
and
guys.
you figure if you look at like the military, you figure they're even if their parents are military, then you figure most kids are coming from that family are a well-rounded individual, and
Or
if
they're a
in
loose
sport,
fucking cannon.
or they're
No.
and if they're in a
There's a
sport,
discipline.
They're rebellious.
The words you're going to see is discipline
yep,
and team
Character.
teamwork,
I
character.
don't know. I've seen a few
Integrity.
pastors' daughters.
Well,
No,
we're not talking
We're
about
not talking about
pastors.
passive.
Yeah,
we're talking about
I know.
military.
Yeah, that's what I'm same thing.
No, it's not. Definitely
Yeah, both
not.
strict.
Both strict.
Next.
There's gonna be
Some
one
of the
kid who's
other-
normal and one kid who's batshit crazy.
The Marcus Tatum kid, Central Florida, he was a transfer from Tennessee. He is not making the 10.
He's
Okay.
not the 10 I
he
see.
plays too high. He's lazy. He's just got lazy footwork. You just can't have it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry because that
Especially on the O line for Jacksonville.
don't be sorry if he
you
deserves
need
it.
guys. You
The
need
bench-
guys now that can play that offensive line position.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to protect every offensive lineman, whether it's the practice 10 or starting the eight guys that make the game day roster. They
Yeah.
all better have a high to elite ability to be able to protect the franchise quarterback.
Oh yeah,
Which the Jaguars have never had one.
agreed.
So it's cream or nobody.
Right. Okay.
Don't be filling your practice squad with
With
guys who
might be's.
they might be good enough to play another year of college in
Yeah.
D2 or something.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time on.
Benji Franklin, Tarleton State, couldn't find much on him. Be interesting to see what he is up close and personal in the sorts. Grayson Gunter, Southern Mississippi, still again not much media stuff. It was hard to find stuff on some of these kids. I saved the best two for last. Garrett Prince, UAB, tight end, move guy. 6'4", 6'5", 225. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
He's Dan Arnold,
Yeah.
younger. Similar. So he didn't run really fast on the 40-yard dash, but that's something guys work at to shave off enough time to where it looks impressive.
It
Right.
ain't much, but
But
it's honest
When you
work.
click on the film, the guy catches the ball and runs away from guys that probably at their pro days ran a whole lot faster. So on grass, he's fast.
Okay.
And guess what? We're talking about football. We're talking about running on grass. We're not talking about running in just one straight line. We're talking about moving, changing
And cuts.
direction,
Yeah.
and not losing much speed. And he seems to gather it as he moves. Not an elite athlete, not an elite blocker or anything like that, because he is only 225 or so.
Right.
But I think he'll gain a little weight.
Make
He'll
balls.
be, if anything, if he's a guy who catches 40 balls a season for 450 yards, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns a season, and is to get in the way blocker and play special teams,
Mm-hmm.
you've got yourself a guy that you can have for multiple contracts.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, especially at a tight end position.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
and
shoot,
Peterson being the
like
head coach.
since Mercedes Lewis has left, that's another position that's kind of. And I know he was old, but they had that whole we drafted him.
He's
He's
still
stuck
with,
here.
I think he's still with the Green Bay Packers.
Is he, I was just about to ask if he was still in the NFL. I hadn't seen him
he
retire.
he played last year.
I was gonna say I didn't see anything of him retiring, so I was pretty
Yeah,
sure,
right. Yeah,
but I just wanted
I'd
to
have
make sure.
to look at it too as well. But as far as I know, he's still a Green Bay Packer.
And seeing like he was pretty good up until his for what Jacksonville used him. I felt like he was.
They underutilized.
Oh, they did,
Marcedes' skill
but I'm
set.
saying when they were able to get him the ball, and when he was able to get some play time with the ball, it was like, dang man, why aren't we using this guy a little bit more? But I mean, hey, like we've said, offensive struggles since fucking forever.
Yeah. And then the last guy I did any real tape work on or any digging is Kevin Austin, who's originally from Florida.
2 names.
Damn,
Yes,
that's
Kevin Austin. He most everybody on this list has 2 names.
Well,
2 first names is what you meant.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So Kevin Austin, Notre Dame, he had injuries that delayed his career, kind of put him on hold. He did get suspended for something. I didn't dig into it because you don't try to find
Being a bad boy.
something.
Well, I think he was suspended for stupid stuff,
Yeah.
dude. In
So-
college, they can get suspended
So-
for
For
stupid
farting on the wrong
But
classmate.
those were years ago. That's behind him. This past year, he played. He put up, I think, over 800 yards. I think like 8 touchdowns or something like that off
Damn.
like 40 something catches. So his
Damn.
his per catch average was like near 20. which is good.
Yeah.
Which is either one of two things, predominantly, not always.
Yeah, don't
stab
quote
me,
him. Don't
but
quote him.
It's predominantly two things.
Noted on the
All
record.
right, either he's a 9-route guy who burns past guys, and he's a big shot guy, and by the time he's caught the ball, it's already 30 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that comes down to 20 when he catches. Yeah, he's asked to, do a back shoulder for a first down, and that will get those big numbers to come down a little. Or he's a guy you put the ball in his hands at like on a dig or a crosser. A lot of teams are running mesh now, so you take a fast guy, run him on mesh, and normally in college a guy gets picked off. Somehow, whether he has to jump around, another defending player, whether that's a safety or corner, linebacker, doesn't matter. Gets picked off and rubbed or whatever, and boom, that guy's free and it's open, boom, and it goes up for another 15 yards. So it's a 5-yard throw, goes for 15, and that kind of gets those numbers up a little bit. So what I saw is he was a guy who ran more of those intermediates. He did beat Jarvis Brownlee Jr. At Florida State, who was at Florida State at the time. He beat him like a drum in the Notre Dame Florida State game.
Mm-hmm.
So when Brownlee left Florida State to go to Louisville or wherever he went, it was like, nah, oh well. Because other teams are going to have Kevin Austin type guys who are 6'2", 210 pound,
Two
big
first
body
names.
guy who can run.
Right.
And they're just going to beat that kid like a drum too.
Every time.
So it's like, okay, it's addition by subtraction
Correct.
for that. But that's a different pod. But for Kevin Austin, like I said, 6'2", 210, ran a 4.48, I think, which has got speed.
Yeah.
He's got a real physical build.
Okay.
He looks bigger than 205, 210, whatever. I kept finding. I have 208 here, or no, I have 205 here.
Oh, okay.
So I found a little bit of a range of weight, but you know what? That's besides the point. He looks like a bigger receiver.
Okay.
He has a real good thick build to him. I like his build. So to finish up my notes on that is Austin has plenty of size to be a valuable developmental receiver and specialist early, maybe a gunner or something like that. I don't know about return. I didn't see any film. I'd have to go back to his high school stuff to see if there was any of that.
Okay.
And I do finish out where he could replace Marvin Jones Jr. next year, not this year. Just sit on the 7 and or the 10 practice squad and get popped up whenever he's needed, and then you try to retain him.
And that's also because of Marvin Jones's age as well. I would also assume goes into being a replacement.
I
for
think-
So
battery died.
that and the computer ran out of space.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! Damn.
Hopefully, it only cut out on just undrafted.
Oh yeah, no. It was,
So, which is just a shame. But yeah, Kevin Austin, good player. I think he could easily make a lot of rosters in the league, given that he learns their offense.
Right.
But he could definitely make the Jaguars, given that they did need a big talent upgrade. They didn't go after it, so I think the opportunity is just sitting right in front of them for that.
All right. Well, shoot, Coach Chris, it's been real. It's been fun.
Coach Chris, thank you for joining us.
It's been real backwoods too at some
It's
points.
very much.
Oh yeah.
So.
We try to keep the name when we podcast. We try to stay. As
I call it
backwards as we can.
I call it
You have to see when we tried Mountain Dew, hard Mountain Dew.
professional,
Oh, God.
professional
No.
unprofessionalism.
You should have seen our cup. We had our Backwoods cup. We took the Niagara
nice.
bottle and cut the top off. Made a
Yeah.
Backwoods cup. Kept it Backwoods style.
Nice.
All right, Johnny.
I'd say. Oh wait, we're not using the microphones. We're using that now.
No,
'cause
but
the
I'm going
computers-
to. I'm still
Yeah,
using the mic.
we're
Well,
still in character.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm still okay.
We're yeah.
There's words to be said.
Words
need to be
and
said.
they happen and the world goes round and then. Yeah. Any last words?
No, it's been real. It's fun.
Yeah.
Coach Chris, we hope to have you back
Ball.
soon.
Yes, sir.
I think
Yes,
it's
sir. We got a
time-
whole summer ahead of us.
Oh yeah,
You know?
plenty of time.
We got mini camps. We got all sorts
Oh
of
yeah.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, and you said you were going to be going to some of that, correct?
I do want to try and see
We
some of these
are
guys
gonna try.
try.
We're gonna try
We're
as
going to
well.
have to get him. Yeah.
So I'd say thank you for watching. We did it. We're going at it more this summer, and I say we're gonna pop off
That was right in my neck.
That's what she said.
That hurt. That really hurt.
That stuff really does.
I'm so sorry.
No, like it literally like hit me right here. Literally right. No, I didn't like.
You're okay. You're fine.
I know it.
As long as it's
Dude, it
not-
literally just